movie fans, and welcome back to another episode of the Uncharted Media Podcast. This is episode 32. Josh, how are you doing tonight?
I'm great, man. I'm feeling like an old man. My knees aren't exactly doing what they're supposed to, but whatever. I am happy to announce that for the first time in what feels like years, I actually saw a movie on opening weekend.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, isn't it?
It is. It is, and it was like, and to really show you how weird it was for me, I went to a full theater as well. I didn't wait till one of my like early times or anything. Like I went at like 10 o'clock at night. And
well, that's a perfect segue actually into our news discussion. Our first movie news topic. Josh and I both saw Avengers Endgame, and judging by the box office, you guys did too. Holy cow, did this movie kill at the box office. So early projections by Disney and a lot of analysts had this movie coming in at around $280 million opening weekend, which would break the current record, which was Avengers Infinity War, which before that was Force Awakens. But as the weekend progressed, the number and the estimate kept getting higher and higher, to which then people were started to wonder, is it going to get over 300 million? Not only did it get over 300 million, it crossed that in leaps and bounds, finishing its domestic run opening weekend at a whopping and record-setting $357 million opening weekend and $1.2 billion with a B worldwide.
This is incredible, dude. I don't know how to react. I mean, in one like factor, in one facet of it, I'm not surprised because the movie's incredible. But on the other hand, like, geez, like there really are a lot more, Marvel fans than I thought there were. Either that or this really is just the cultural phenomenon that you and I have kind of placed it as.
Yeah, it's not just that it broke the record, it demolished it. It's not like it beat the past record by 5 million or even 10 million. It beat it by a solid almost $90 million. I was listening to John Campea earlier this week. We will never, ever see this again. Someday, some movie's going to come along and break Endgame's opening weekend box office record of 357. We'll never see somebody clear this record by this much ever again. We'll never see somebody with a $400 million opening weekend. This is ridiculous. And all the analysts going into it were like, it's 3 hours. That's going to hurt box offices. People aren't going to be willing to sit through a 3-hour movie. Theaters won't be able to show as many showings. Theaters made room for showings.
Yeah. Which just goes to prove that they can totally do more showings if they want of any movie. So screw them. Anyway.
Well, that's not up to them. It's more demand. And more often than not, there is not as high of a demand. This was ridiculousness of it sold out everywhere. If you wanted to get tickets day of, maybe if you went when the theater opened at 10 a.m., you can get tickets for a 5 or 7 p.m. showing that night. Everything else, good luck. We were in the second row all the way to the side. It was the only 2 seats left.
Yeah, it was incredible. And that's saying something too, because within 10 minutes of my place, there's like 3 or 4 movie theaters, right? And one of them had 20 showings for the day. This is Thursday. 20 showings for Thursday. And one had 27, and the biggest one in the area, I think, had close to 30-something showings.
Yeah, theaters are staying open late. This is nuts. 1.2 billion opening weekend. To get $1 billion in your opening weekend alone, movies would kill to have $1 billion in their final run. But this really begs the question, and I put the meme on Facebook when I saw it again on Sunday, looking at the box office totals of Thor with that Bring Me Thanos scene from Infinity War, except this time, Bring Me Avatar, because Avatar is the last big record left. And to be honest, if I'm Avatar right now, I'm sweating bullets. I'm getting nervous.
Yeah, absolutely.
I I'll be very curious to see what this week will hold for the box office and what this next weekend will be. Whether there's going to be a
Absolutely.
big drop off or a 50% drop off, which even if it's a
Yeah,
50% drop off in ticket sales, that's still a really, really big weekend.
absolutely. Yeah, the big thing is, and this is always part of our discussion, is whether or not it's going to have legs.
It's going to go unchallenged for about 3 weeks, and then Detective Pikachu will come along. And even then,
Exactly.
if it goes at the rate of dropping 50% each week, which I'm expecting it to, Detective Pikachu still would need $90 million to beat it at the box office, and I don't know if it does.
I mean, I think Detective Pikachu will be a big deal. I think it will. It's going to depend on how good the movie is, actually. Now that I think about it, but we'll see, man. I don't think it'll have as big of an opening as this. Although Pokemon is that popular, but I don't know if it's that popular.
Yeah, and to be honest, I think we're going to have to backtrack and we're going to be wrong on one of the predictions we made at the beginning of the year. There's no chance now that Lion King catches this. This is
Yeah,
ridiculous.
yeah, absolutely.
I mean, maybe if Lion King really has some legs, but Endgame, man, Endgame is the big boy now. And that's actually going to be our main discussion later on in the show. We're going to go through our full spoiler filled discussion of Avengers Endgame. Because honestly, if you're really going to be talking about this, you got to put up spoilers for this because so much happens in this. So that is your first of many spoiler warnings. Our main discussion today will be a spoiler filled discussion of Avengers Endgame. But we'll get back to Endgame in a little bit here. We've got some other news. And of course, some quasi wrestling related news. So, as you all know, The Rock recently, a few movies back, I believe it was either Fast 5 or Fast 6, joined the Fast and Furious franchise. Now, he is not the only former WWE man to step behind the wheel of the car, as now it's being reported that Vin Diesel has brought on John Cena to be in Fast and the Furious 9. Uh, okay. Also, side note, I forgot Roman Reigns is also going to be in Hobbs and Shaw. So this will be the third wrestler from the WWE in the Fast and Furious franchise.
This is this is just they're just becoming the movies of the big swole funny guys. Like it's I don't it, at this point I'm not surprised.
So, how many more movies then until we get a Rock Cena face off on the big screen?
Next movie, guaranteed.
Because they want that in the back of their mind, mainly just for the marketing purposes, because people will pay for that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But also, I think the big thing with Cena is he is trying to get more dramatically challenged. I
Yes,
guess is
because
what.
clearly Fast and Furious just demands
Here, just
dramatically
let
challenging.
me finish my point, jerk. He mentioned coming off all the promotional stuff for Bumblebee that he wanted to play more bad guys because if he feels like it challenges him a little bit more, which I can totally see. So I mean, I can see that happening. Him
To be
being
honest, watching Bumblebee, he's really not the bad guy.
well, yes, I understand that, but you get his point regardless.
Yeah. Putting my tinfoil hat on here, because I do that from time to time. Remember a few years back, and I don't know if it's still a thing or not, but remember Vin Diesel and The Rock having some beef over some stuff on the set of Fast and Furious?
Yes.
Do you think this is like Vin kind of getting a little, and you're going to hate me for this, being a little vindictive because The Rock is getting his own spin off franchise?
I hate you. I hate you now. I mean, I guess, but at the same time, in some ways, you do have to. If Hobbs and Shaw don't like exist now in the Fast and Furious movies, which would be weird if they didn't. Um, then you do technically, I guess, also with the absence of Paul Walker, you need at least one more character to kind of fill some voids.
Yeah, I think this is a good role for Cena, primarily because he's not leading man material yet, but he's a really good supporting character. And I would like to see him do more villainous stuff. I could definitely see
Absolutely.
him being the bad guy for this.
Absolutely.
Now, this one, Josh, I don't know if you're excited. I'm excited primarily because it's like officially happening. It just dawns on me more that this is actually happening. James Gunn is doing the Suicide Squad movie. We've known that for quite a while now. He's now made a casting choice that makes me quite happy. We now have our polka dot man. We're actually
Get out of
getting a
here.
polka dot
Stop it.
man.
I just how is this happening? I don't. And the actor that they've got to play him is, I mean, I won't lie, I do enjoy him, and I guess from what you've told me of Polka Dot Man, it works, I guess.
For those of you who don't know, I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right or not. It's David Nettle, I believe is how I pronounce it. He's in Ant-Man as one of the funny supporting characters. He was also in The Dark Knight as the paranoid schizophrenic that's got Rachel Dawes' name tag on that
Yeah.
Harvey Dent tries to interrogate for a little bit. He's been in stuff. I know his face. I feel like he was on Parks and Rec for a little bit, but I might be
Yeah, I
mistaken
think
for
so.
somebody else. Just the fact that we're getting Polka Dot Man is more than enough for me.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's definitely shaping this new Suicide Squad to being something completely different.
Now, there's also rumors. It's not official. There's rumors of Ratcatcher being cast too. But one, I don't know the actress that they got, and two, I don't know who Ratcatcher is. Everyone was like, they are gender bending Ratcatcher, so now it's a woman. I'm just going. First of all, who's Ratcatcher?
Yeah.
So that's why I didn't really put that in the notes. I'm just putting that as an aside of we have somebody else that's been cast, but I don't know who it is and what their role is. But okay.
Is it going to be anything like Squirrel Girl? Because I don't know if I'm okay with that.
I just hope it's not like Slipknot in the first Suicide Squad. We're just kind of here to see why they should listen to Amanda Waller type thing.
Yeah, I agree. Although if you're going to do that, at least it's with somebody like Ratcatcher.
I don't know. But going back to Polka Dot Man, as dumb as it sounds, knowing James Gunn's tendency for outlandish things, I can totally see them going with the classic polka dot like man outfit of like the white spandex with polka dots everywhere. I'd be so down for that.
Yeah, I can see that.
Well, the last bit of movie news before we talk about some trailers that came out. This movie is both good and bad, I think. Fantastic Beasts 3, whatever it's going to end up being called, Fantastic Beasts 3 has now been delayed until late 2021, in which case that means to me, Warner Brothers is going, how do we politely fire J.K. Rowling?
So I still haven't seen the second one because part of that is because you were so adamant about how much you hated it, and I was like, well, I'm not going to pay to watch it now, so I just haven't gotten around to watching it. So I'm not that ingrained, but based on your reactions, I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal.
Not just me. It definitely had very much a critical reception drop off compared to the previous Harry Potter films and even the previous Fantastic Beasts. I think this is them like taking a big step back, reevaluating everything, going, okay, what did we do wrong? The problem is J.K. Rowling, but they can't do it without her, or I feel like they think they can't do it without her.
That's fair, and you know, and in some ways though they can't. I don't know legally if they are allowed to do it without her.
No. I've never seen somebody with a tighter grip on their property, and I'm including George Lucas and Star Wars in that category. This woman, like, approves everything, unless it's over Twitter, in which case she just randomly makes something canon because she felt like tweeting about it.
Yeah, which is not okay.
Yeah. Thanks, J.K. Rowling. I always wondered how wizards went to the bathroom in Hogwarts.
Yeah. So anyway, while we're on the topic of poop, let's talk about that Sonic trailer.
that transition worked too well for this piece of
Oh,
dookie.
that was probably the best segue I think I've ever done.
Oh boy, this Sonic trailer, man, it's the stuff of nightmares.
So here's the thing. There's little bits of this trailer that are cool.
The
and
sound
kind of
effects, I'll give you that.
and kind of interesting. And the take on Dr. Robotnik is something I think makes sense. They did flash his original, his OG design at the end of the trailer. But
kind of,
I guess. But yeah, but no, you're right. Like, why are his legs so long? Why are his quills like full of electricity? Like, what's going on?
like honestly, the sound effects are the only thing that I'm just like, oh, that's cool. But even then, I'm just like, oh, I recognize those sounds. I'm still terrified of what I'm seeing on screen. That is not Sonic. That is someone that's going to kill me in my dreams.
Yeah. So we'll see, man. I think it has the potential to be good. I think I can almost guarantee I can call the story right now. But yeah.
Oh, okay. Actually, there was one shot in the trailer that I was like, oh, that's a clever idea. But then the more I thought about it, I was like, wait, you're just stealing that from Avengers. And there's a shot in the trailer where they use the ring, like fall through the ring because it's a portal or something.
Yeah, which I'm not sure I understand. I didn't play a lot of Sonic growing up.
Yeah, me neither. I have some Sonic games, but I don't know Sonic lore.
From my understandings, like rings, if you went through them, there were always things that like made you go faster.
I thought you collected them, not go through them. Well,
there was that too. There was those, and there was bigger rings that you could go through that would.
Oh yeah.
But I don't. I mean, while it is a cool shot and a cool concept, it doesn't. I don't know if it makes sense. So here, let's do this. I'm going to call the storyline right now. Are you ready? And then in November, when the movie comes out, we can look back and see if Josh was right. So I'm going to call the story. Ready? No. So I think something happens to where Sonic gets trapped in our world, right? And so the scene where we see him running super fast is actually him trying to run super fast into a portal to get back to his world. And so the explosion is, of course, of something going wrong and him being unable to get back to his world. And so we're going to spend this movie with Sonic as he tries to discover who he is without his friends and outside of his world, while exploring our world and trying to get home.
That's scary how accurate that sounds.
Because just based on the trailer alone, that's exactly what it sounds like.
This movie feels like it's 15 years too late. Like, this feels like one of those like Garfield, Smurfs, Hop type movies.
You know what it reminds me of? The first trailers for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles reboot.
Oh.
Do you am I right though? Like it has that feeling of like, I don't know what this is. This feels like it's supposed to be something from my childhood, but it still makes me uncomfortable.
This could just be me as a Turtles fan. I feel like the reaction to those early Turtles trailers was much more harsh compared to this Sonic one. This Sonic one across the board is just like, everyone that I've seen is just, nope, this looks bad, no thanks. Whereas it was downright outrage for the Turtles stuff. Yes.
And then we saw the first one and we're like, oh, okay, well, that wasn't too bad, I guess.
Oh no, it was awful. I hate those movies.
Yeah, well, I hate the second one. I don't mind.
I like the second one more than the first one.
Look, man, I don't.
Except for Casey Jones, that's garbage.
Exactly. Well, that's because it's Stephen Amell and he can't act. So anyway, the Sonic trailer looks like trash.
Wow, that's not where I was gonna go with that, but
yeah. So anyway,
there. This just it feels like it's too outdated. Now you watch this. This also feels like it's a straight to DVD, just awful. But you watch. They're trying to set up their Sonic cinematic universe, and the end credits will be Knuckles and Tails.
I actually saw a very interesting take that will never happen, but it could be super, really, like, nerdy and funny. So we have Detective Pikachu coming out, right? And then we have Sonic coming out, right? And then there's news of another Super Mario Bros. Movie.
Animated.
Animated, yes, but a new movie coming out regardless. So what if they're building a Super Smash Bros. Universe? and so like slowly they'll drop hints throughout the movies until we have like an Endgame style like
It's not Thanos
movie
at the end
event.
credits of Avengers. It's just a giant hand. Giant floating hand.
Oh man! And
Then we get a
have
Star Fox movie.
I would pay for that. Not gonna lie.
We don't get Mario. We get Dr. Mario.
Yes, we just get the obscure ones. Oh man!
Okay,
and then,
I'm fine with that, so long as we get a Metroid movie.
exactly. No, I would. I would throw tons, and that's a female
Metroid, like
movie
hard R,
awesome.
like Hacksaw Ridge level violent.
Yes.
That'll
like
never happen.
alien level
But
violence.
going back to Sonic, getting real sidetracked. The sad thing is looking at some like fan like edits of stuff in the trailer. This movie missed opportunities that were right in front of their faces. What fans
Yeah.
can do in 5 minutes is better than
Yeah.
the studio. That's a big red flag to me.
Yeah, I agree.
Of like his eyes are creepy, they're human eyes. What up, like you said earlier, what up with his legs? It's just creepy, man.
It is. I think right now the only thing I really, really like is when he jumps off the truck and goes right into his spiral. I thought that was super cool.
Yeah, good
Other
sound
than-
effects for that.
Exactly, but like other than that, it's like, And right now, I don't mind Jim Carrey. I did see someone say it's just what was it?
It's just Jim Carrey being Jim Carrey.
It's Scientist Ventura.
Okay.
Or Space Ventura, and I was like, I mean, I'll pay to see that.
Yeah.
Ventura in space.
Well, thankfully, this is not the only trailer that we had this past week. These next two trailers we're going to talk about dropped last week, but also were attached to Avengers Endgame. So while we talk about trailers that led up to Endgame, think of them as trailers to our discussion about Endgame. See what I did there?
I did.
We have a new Men in Black trailer, which to me is honestly the best one yet and gives us more of a clear picture of what the story will be. So apparently their main enemies will be the Hive, which are shapeshifters. To me, this just kind of further confirms my theory that I've had, as you know, from day one, that Liam Neeson is actually the bad guy.
Yes, but I think now there's the possibility that it's not Liam Neeson, it's like a shapeshifter that's taken its place.
Yes, in some capacity, the actor of Liam Neeson will be a bad guy at some point in this movie.
Yes.
The other interesting thing that I like that they introduced in this trailer is the effects of the neuralizer don't always hit the intended target. Tessa Thompson's character is like, you neuralized my parents, but you didn't get me. They forgot everything, but I remember you neuralizing them. So I've been searching for you guys for 20 years. I like that way. This means like right off the bat, I care about this character because she's resourceful, she's smart, she's been hunting the Men in Black instead of the Men in Black hunting her. I think that's a really cool reversal. She's more or less the Will Smith character from the first one. I really like what they're doing with her.
Oh yeah, and having Valkyrie play her in general is going to be a good idea as well.
Never a bad idea, no.
I mean, and yes, I realize she has a real name, but she's Valkyrie, so shush.
Which we'll talk about Valkyrie in our discussion. And we always talk about it every time. Chris Hemsworth's comedic timing is just fantastic. I'm really excited to see more of their chemistry together in Men in Black. I loved Chris Hemsworth and Tessa Thompson in Thor Ragnarok, but the two of them together, I'm really excited to see what they do with Men in Black.
Absolutely.
This is really what Men in Black needs right now. This franchise is all but dead. This could really be the shot in the arm that it desperately needs.
Exactly. And honestly, like this could easily just be a one-off. And I don't think anybody would necessarily complain. But I also think that that's probably a smart move to make this just a one and done.
So, a few years back, when those Sony leaks happened, that all those emails got leaked and whatnot, there was talk of crossing over the Men in Black, like the Tommy Lee Jones and Will Smith Men in Black, with the Jump Street movies. If this Men in Black does well, I can absolutely see that Men in Black crossing over Jump Street. And if that happens, sign me up.
Oh, absolutely. Oh,
Channing
man.
Tatum and Chris Hemsworth with Tessa Thompson and Jonah Hill.
Oh, that is perfect.
That's
I'm so down for that.
23 in Black?
Maybe work on the title a little bit, but yes.
Men in Jump Street?
Okay, I'm done with that.
Yeah, that's a pairing that I could really go with. And they neuralize Jonah Hill. They don't even bother neuralizing Channing Tatum.
Because he's so, plastered or something.
He's just an idiot. Now,
yep.
The first Men in Black, well, all three Men in Blacks actually, really put Will Smith on the map. Will Smith is back in this new film that I have mixed feelings about, and I'll go into detail in a little bit as to why. We're obviously talking about the trailer for Gemini Man. Before I go into my thoughts, Josh, what did you think about this new Gemini Man trailer?
It's interesting, but it has the rings of Hitman.
Come again?
Like the two movies, Hitman, the movies, and the games. It's got that feel for me.
Really? I don't know what vibe I'm getting from. I got a couple red flags with this one, but what else did you get from this trailer before I go into my complicated thoughts on this movie?
I called where they were going before they got there. The only reason you can't beat him is because he's you.
Which, okay, before I go into my side tangent, I laugh every time, and I know I shouldn't, but in the trailer, when he's talking to his boss, he's just like, "You made a person out of another person." And I'm just going, yes, Will, that's where babies come from.
Yeah.
That's kind of how it goes.
Not well delivered at all.
It's like, you made a person out of another person. Yes, a person is always involved when making another person, even if it is a clone. It's a poorly written line, poorly delivered, but I think that's going to be the whole movie. I don't think this is going to be a good movie, and here's why. So this movie has been in development hell for a very long time. They've been really trying to get this movie made, and it's had a lot of production issues. The director is Ang Lee, who is known for Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, but he's also known for the 2003 Eric Bana Hulk movie.
Yay!
So yeah, they advertised Life of Pi. Well, he also did Hulk. So,
I mean, Life of Pi is pretty good. So,
but it's not an action movie.
Also true.
Yeah, Ang Lee, when he made Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, said he always wanted to do an action movie. One action movie. I don't think this movie's gonna have as much action as we think, because Ang Lee is more of a methodical, think through the cognitive process type director, like a deep thinking director. And this movie, I'm sure he'll want to deep dive into the concepts of this movie. The other red flag for me is Will Smith, and not for the reasons you think. I still think Will Smith can absolutely carry a movie. I think he's fine for this. The only problem is the whole concept is you're being chased by your younger self. Will Smith hasn't aged in 25 years.
Yeah.
Get an actor like Robert Redford or Clint Eastwood, someone that actually does age. Will Smith hasn't aged. You just make him clean shaven, give him the same haircut. Granted, the effects that they'd have to make him look like he did in his Fresh Prince days look amazing. But to me, that could just be Will Smith because Will Smith hasn't aged at all.
Yeah,
there's not that much of a disparity between the older Will Smith and the younger Will Smith, at least visually to me.
Yeah, oh, totally.
The other great memes that I've seen on this is Will Smith's gotten so egotistical. The only actors he's willing to work with now are himself.
Or his son, and even then it was a stretch.
Take a knee. Oh yeah,
Jeez.
After Earth. That's bad enough. I got a bad feeling about this movie, man.
Yeah. I think this is like another Blade Runner waiting to happen.
Except Blade Runner was good.
Exactly.
It's just flop. I don't think this one will be good though either. Will Smith has made some very poor choices in recent years of movies to be in, whether it's After Earth, like we talked about, still on the fence about his Aladdin. 7 Pounds didn't really bring in the audiences that were expected. He's done a couple real questionable ones, and I don't know if this is the one that's going to get him back on track or not. I'd like to see him get back to his Independence Day popularity, but I just don't see it anymore, man. You have any more thoughts before we move on to the main discussion?
No, I think that'll do, my man.
Alrighty. Well, before we go to our main discussion, this week's episode is brought to you by cheeseburgers.
Why cheeseburgers?
Because of Endgame, man. I got those feels so hard at the end. Because, for those of you who remember, what was the first thing Iron Man asked for when he was rescued in the first Iron Man movie? I want to hold a press conference, and I want cheeseburgers.
Cheeseburgers. So let's do this real quick. This is your second and final warning. There's going to be a ton of spoilers coming up.
Yep. Yeah, once again, spoiler warning. I don't think cheeseburgers in and of itself is a spoiler, but we'll explain why if you haven't seen it later. But yeah, before we get in our main discussion, Josh, what are your general thoughts on the film as a whole?
I loved it. I think the main thing I've been saying when people ask me about it is legitimately, if there was not another Marvel movie after this, perfect. This ties the whole 10 years saga up with a bow.
Yeah, it's weird to say. I feel bad for Far From Home of like, all right, well, you're just kind of here now.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so excited for it because I feel like the responsibility is now on it to set up future movies. Yes. But yeah, you've said it perfectly. This does wrap up on literally everything. It pulled together so many movies that I was not expecting at all. I was on the fence my first one. After a rewatch, there is no debate. This is my new favorite MCU movie.
Oh, no doubt. And I think the thing I love the most about this is, bro, like, you know how the other ones all the other Marvel movies, it feels like they're like trying to play catch up. Like, okay, guys, like, I know you're not familiar with this content, so here's a quick backstory, here's our movie. All right, cool. You're all on board. Whereas this one goes, y'all have had a decade to watch the movies.
Yeah, so 22 movies in. If you're not on board by now, sorry, not our fault.
Yeah, exactly. And I really appreciated it for that. I think, one of my biggest complaints was of Marvel movies is and I understand they have to, but sometimes they do it in a intelligence insulting way.
Yeah, they really dumb it down. This one is just like, all right, hold on tight. We're going to Back to the Future 2 this real hard.
Yeah.
All right, so what we're talking about doing is we're going to try and remember more or less how the film laid out and just kind of talk our way through what we remember about it. So the film opens up with a scene that we've been discussing for a while. It's probably going to be the opening. You could see it coming a mile away, but it still did not make it any easier to watch. And it was Hawkeye, who was just Agent Barton at the time. I bring that up for a very specific reason that I'll get back to in a second. Agent Barton on house arrest with his 3 kids and his wife, just having a great picnic. He's teaching his daughter how to shoot bow and arrow. And I bring up the whole Hawkeye thing because he calls her Hawkeye, and I genuinely believe we've never heard the name Hawkeye before in a movie yet.
I would have to go back and rewatch, actually, yeah.
Because they call him the Hawk in Avengers.
Well, they call him Clint sometimes.
They call him Clint every time, or Agent Barton.
Yeah, huh.
So the first time we hear Hawkeye is him telling his daughter that she's Hawkeye, which just makes the following scene that much harder to watch. Because you see the kids It's like, what do you want on your hot dog? Mayo. Which who puts mayo on a hot dog?
So let's not talk about that.
You do?
Yeah, dude.
I'm with
Listen,
the weird kid that said just ketchup.
I love him. That was hilarious. But like, no, because you do. My process is okay, and we're gonna have a quick sidebar because this needs to be talked about. I don't appreciate being insulted on national, on a national scale. You have your bun right, and then you do your mayo, then you do shredded cheese, the actual hot dog, crushed chips, and then ketchup.
We just I don't
No
even know
reaction.
what to say to that.
Bro, don't knock it till you try it. All right.
I will say though that the thing that I've always admired about Hawkeye and his family is they're one of the few characters that feel like a genuine family. Like Tony and
Yeah.
Pepper, I've never really bought that family dynamic. Even later in the film, when we're introduced to the rest of his family that he had 5 years later, that never felt real. Hawkeye's family, that felt like a real family. So when you see him turn around and his daughter's gone, you feel that. Like you know it's coming too, and it doesn't make it any easier. And what makes it worse is they don't play any music at all. So you're just sitting in silence, and he turns around and the three others are gone, and he's just screaming into the void trying to find his family. And it's so hard to watch, but it immediately sets the stakes for the rest of the movie. And some people, I've seen a lot of people say that they don't like the first half of the movie because it's slow. I like it because you and I have complained for a lot of years now that Marvel, it never feels like there's any stakes involved. The first half of Endgame really is just showing the stakes of, yeah, we lost. We lost so much because of what we did.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that opening scene just, oh man, it's gut wrenching. And to think when we saw that first Avengers movie that years later, Hawkeye would be one of my favorite characters. I'll be honest now. I think the two best characters in the whole movie aren't Captain America or Iron Man. I think it's Thor and Hawkeye. They're the emotional core of the movie.
Oh, okay. So when the theme plays or the Marvel logo goes or whatever, and I'm like, and I'm keeping in mind what you and I talked about how we think they're going to open it, and we're just kind of like, all right, let's see what they do, and it just opens with him teaching his daughter archery, and I audibly went, oh no, because I was not about to be ready, and I was, from that moment on, I was locked in emotionally because
it was a very emotional movie, just across the board. Happy, gut-wrenchingly sad, victorious, everything.
Nathan, I am upset. All right, no, where do they get off having decade of movies where they don't affect me really on any level emotionally, and then they bring this out, and it just,
See, that was just the beginning, man. It gets worse down the road. But,
I agree.
We have flash forward to Nebula and Iron Man playing paper football, which I really enjoy that scene actually. I wish we got more scenes after that of Nebula and Tony, because that was a dynamic that I actually think really, really worked, but we didn't get enough of it. Captain Marvel comes in, saves the day. That disappointed me, not because it was Captain Marvel, but I really wanted Tony to figure out a way to get them back as a nice callback to the first Iron Man when he had to science himself a solution to get home, to escape.
Yeah.
It would have been a nice full circle, but this movie already does enough full circle stuff, so I get why they didn't do that. The effects that they did on Iron Man to make him look scrawny and starved is incredible.
It was really alarming actually, because, and I need to go back and look at the trailer, because I don't think he looks that sickly in the trailer.
I don't think he does either. Not that bad. He looked awful, especially when he eventually gets back to Avengers Tower, the Avengers base, because there's no Avengers Tower. That's Fantastic Four. Eventually, when he gets back to Avengers base, and arguably Iron Man's best scene in the whole movie, when he's like, You said we'd lose together. You liar. You were nowhere to be seen. You were apart, which I'm just going in the back of my mind. Because of you, Tony, you're the one that split everybody up. But that scene
Yeah,
when he snaps at everybody, oh man, that's rough.
yeah. That was the kind of the one thing about Tony's arc here is at no point does he go, I screwed up. It's time for me to, these things around.
Which
Like,
remind me when we get to the end with his big moment at the end. There's something I didn't catch the first time that's really, really big that I caught the second time that really concludes his arc well. But yeah,
I,
Tony has never been more selfish than he was in this movie. Never been more selfish, but never been more selfless. Really.
I'll give him a little bit. I think this movie doesn't make me like Tony, but it doesn't make me hate him more, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I Tony is still my least favorite Avenger, but I do feel like he did redeem himself by the end of this movie. Not like full on Darth Vader redemption, but he at least redeemed himself for Civil War and Infinity War. Age of Ultron, that's totally still on him, but whatever.
Yeah.
So the Avengers get some energy ping somehow, because Deus Ex Machina, they need information somehow. Thanos used the stones again, but we find out Thanos used the stones to destroy the stones. So the Avengers go in. Holy crap, did they go in guns a-blazing? They take out Thanos so quick. Not only that, they take him out permanently. Like, for a PG-13 movie, I was not expecting a brutal Game of Thrones style decapitation of Thanos.
I think though that was the thing is for me at least that like what they did it, but like he was so weak and so like not Thanos, and they did it, and it was like what that can't. First of all, that can't be the end.
Well,
I thought this
first
was
of all,
a
you're only 10
movie.
minutes in, so yeah, it can't be the end.
Yeah, exactly. I was like that. There's no way. And so then the question is, okay, where do we go from here? And then it honestly felt a little cheap of for them to do that, for the Avengers to do that, and it's like you're just. And I think maybe that was the point of the scene was you're just emotionally acting out what you should have done and why you're so frustrated.
Which I like that. It was not a rational thought that they did. It was an emotional thought of, what do we do? We just get the stones. How do we do it? We'll just get them. Like, they don't have a plan, which I actually like that. It was emotion driven to the point of when they get to that great, they just cut to black. And then I remember in my theater when they do the 5 years, and as soon as years pop up, the whole crowd just no. And it's like, what'd you think was gonna happen? But I like that we flash forward in time, and it wasn't just like, well, they figured it out 5 months later. Like, no, the world has to deal with these consequences, and I like that at the end they do but don't undo. They bring everybody back, but those 5 years of pure hell still happened.
Yeah.
So we get to 5 years later, and the world is just crap. Like, real bad. And it sounds dark, but I enjoyed seeing defeat for once because it just makes the victory at the end that much sweeter. But man, everything's real bad. But somehow, I try not to think about it too hard because this is a big old plot hole. The real hero of this movie is a rat.
Yeah. Yeah.
So a rat somehow knows the combination to get Ant-Man out of the quantum realm. Was it literally just press a button?
Yeah, it was very. He happened to walk across the right sequence of buttons, and you know what? Maybe that's the thing. Maybe in order to have a chance to reset everything, there had to be something otherworldly. I guess I don't know, man. Like it is. I wouldn't say it's a plot hole. I would say maybe it's a plot point that could have been explored more, I guess.
You know what would have been nice is Stan Lee's final cameo. He's like clearing out that he's cleaning out that storage locker and accidentally drops the panel, and that turns it back on,
Yeah,
and that's what
that
brings
would have
Ant-Man
been
back.
nice. Which, speaking of his cameo, how did you feel? I didn't look like him, in my opinion.
It was. I don't blame them because they didn't know at the time that it would be his last one. But for a last one, it was kind of lackluster.
Yeah.
They did use the whole digital de-aging on him. It was odd. I'll say that.
Yeah. But so a rat unleashes Ant-Man again, which I'm glad that they did bring that back and acknowledged that that was a thing.
Which brings me to one of the surprisingly emotional moments of the movie. I'm not a huge Ant-Man fan, but when he goes home to make sure that his daughter is still alive and still okay, that got me, man. That really got me in the feels. And seeing that he's missed 5 years, like Rumpelstiltskin style, not Rumpelstiltskin, Rip Van Winkle. There we go. Rip Van Winkle style of he's missed out on these years, and he sees his now teenage daughter, and the moment together is like, wasn't expecting that.
Yeah. And she comes out, and even like you as a viewer aren't sure of like, is that her? Could it be?
And then just the look on his face, you're just like, oh, that's some acting by Paul Rudd there.
It's because he's amazing.
Except in Halloween 6. So he goes to Black Widow and Cap, who neither of them are okay. Like, you can tell these guys are messed up. They are not handling this loss well. But Black Widow, I really like this moment, especially from Black Widow, of more often than not, like, female characters or any comic book characters have this tendency to, like, they have to look good on a poster. They have to look good in the moment for marketing and stuff. She's disheveled. She just looks like a beat up, run down character. And she just looks vulnerable and human. And I appreciate that aesthetic of this is someone that's seen some crap, man. Has a lot of stuff on her plate. She's more or less the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. right now because there's no one else.
Yeah.
And then Steve with the great line of, I would offer to cook you dinner, but you look pretty miserable already.
Yeah. Like, ha, 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 we get it. You're so funny. Which I wish they would have explored that more.
Yeah, of all scenes, that's one that I wish was a minute or two longer because I've always liked the relationship between Black Widow and Captain America. Like, to me, that's one of the closest friendships in the Avengers, besides maybe Black Widow and Hawkeye. It was Black Widow and Captain America. Since Winter Soldier, they've had this like really good rapport and chemistry together that I buy them as friends. So I like that scene. And then Ant-Man comes along and is like, hey guys, I don't know what's going on, but I think I may have a solution. Is that anybody's sandwich?
Yep. I haven't eaten in like 5 hours.
5 years, Ant-Man. And he's just like, I know this sounds weird. And Black Widow's like, I get emails from a raccoon. Nothing's weird anymore.
Yep.
Which Black Widow's got quite a few good moments in this. We'll talk about her main one later. So they go to Iron Man, who you could see it coming a mile away. Has a daughter now named Morgan. And this is when I start to not like Iron Man because it's what? Cap, Black Widow, and Ant-Man that go to Iron Man. And Ant-Man straight up tells him, dude, I lost like my whole family. Millions of people lost their family. So you're not even thinking about change. You're not even thinking about going back to fix it because you got what you want. And Iron Man straight up tells him to his face, no, I can't help you. I'm like, okay, dude, whatever happens to you later, you fully have it coming to you, man. That's not okay.
Yeah, and I just am not a fan of him. And really, even in this moment, and like, yeah, he kind of like later on, he's like explores the time technology thing, and he gets like shocked that it could actually work. And even then, he comes out with the normal Tony shtick.
I told you it wouldn't work. I'm just like, dude, just shut up, okay?
Yeah. Like he becomes a very unlikable character.
As soon as you told me you would much rather put your own family over the billions of other people that died, that's when I really started to hate you more than I have before. And that's saying something.
Yeah,
But
it's
then, just when I start to hate Iron Man a whole bunch, he comes along more or less saying, hey, let's make up, let's fix this, brings back Cap Shield, which wasn't as much of a good, heartfelt, feel good moment as I was expecting it to be. It was just kind of like, all right, we got business to take care of. We'll take care of this later.
yeah, it's and even the moment where it gives him the shield is like, okay, cool, I guess.
Now, that was supposed to be emotional. To me, the real emotional scene is when Hulk and Rocket Raccoon enter an indie movie and are sitting in the back of a truck on their way to New Asgard.
Oh yeah,
Just the music that's playing as they're sitting in the back of the truck, I'm just like, did I just step into a Wes Anderson movie?
I mean, I wish it had been.
The Rocket Hulk?
Bro, I would pay for Wes Anderson to do a movie with Hulk and Rocket, and
You wouldn't
that'd
like
be
me when
so
I get
funny.
angry.
Oh my goodness.
It has Edward Norton
Oh,
already in it. So
we're almost there already.
Rocket and Hulk go to New Asgard to take care of, to try and recruit Thor back to the Avengers. Now, this scene is great because we only have maybe a quarter of the Asgardians left because they've been royally screwed over because Asgard just blew up. They got half their people killed by Thanos, and then half of that were snapped away. So there's like a quarter of them left in this small village, but thank goodness Valkyrie survived a snap, and she's more or less taking on responsibility because, surprise, Thor's a fat drunk, and I kind of love it.
Oh, I loved it. As soon as he showed up, I was like, yes, especially because of the hair and beard.
It was full on God of War.
He really does.
But then the real important people survive the snap. Korg and Meek playing Fortnite.
Here's the thing, man. I saw that and I was like, oh, Nathan has to be so happy right now.
There's only one scene in the whole movie that I pop louder for besides Korg and Meek showing up. And we'll get to that later. But so Korg, Meek, and Thor are all just chilling in this lighthouse, playing playing Fortnite, getting drunk, making fun of people on live. But then, holy crap, does Chris Hemsworth bring his acting A game of he's just being a drunk idiot, pretending he doesn't have any problems, just having fun. And then Hulk's like, we need you. We found a way to beat Thanos. And as soon as Thanos is mentioned, the complete tone of the scene changes and it's so somber. Like my whole theater went from laughing and jovial of this is funny to, oh yeah, let's talk about why we're really here. It's like making a joke and then remembering you're at a funeral and you have to address the real issues in the room. And just the look on Thor's face as he goes from, oh, yeah, it's my fault. Everyone's gone. And just having to wallow in it. And then I liked the fact that they brought in Rocket and Hulk to snap him out of it because it plays on both Infinity War and Ragnarok of Hulk's like, when I became the monster, when there was no hope for me, you got me out. Now I want to get you out and get you back in the game. It was a good callback, bringing everything full circle. This movie does a fantastic job of just bringing everything full circle, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've always liked Hulk and Thor's chemistry, and this is one of those really great little moments. This movie excels in the little moments. Marvel has always done really well with the little moments, but this movie is comprised of both big moments and little character moments. And the little character moments to me are always the most important because that's what makes people care. It's what made the 357 million opening weekend because people care about the characters, and character is built in the small moments. So they get Fat Thor, which as soon as I saw that it was Fat Drunk Thor, and I knew that we were going back in time, Back to the Future 2 style, I thought there was going to be a comedic scene where he gets mistaken for Volstagg, one of the Warriors 3, the fat bearded one.
Yeah.
Like Thor meets his former self and it's just like, Volstagg, what happened to you? Type of thing.
It would have been nice, but I do enjoy what they did with him in that section.
Yeah, so let's talk about that for a little bit. So, the Avengers realize they need to go back in time and get the stones from different time periods. So, 3 stones are in New York at one given time. They need to go to Morag, Vormir, all the different places that the soul stones are at. Not just the soul stone, all the stones. Um, we need to go to Thor: The Dark World, the least liked MCU movie thus far. And just a quick side tangent, they are all the Avengers are kind of giving different rundowns of the stones, and Thor's responsible for talking about the ether, which was in Thor: The Dark World. I felt like that whole scene was just Marvel taking subtle shots at themselves for Thor: The Dark World and knowing that no one likes it.
Yeah,
I'm just like, yep, this happened, and yep, this happened. I don't really remember. It was kind of forgettable, but whatever. These things happen. It's like, are you guys making fun of Thor: The Dark World? And then they revisit Thor: The Dark World, and again, we get hit with some really emotional stuff when Thor runs into his mom.
Yeah, and honestly, like you kind of forget how big of a deal that was for Thor, because Dark World was so forgettable in general. But regardless, you forget like what all happens in that movie, and like the way that he, the way he tries to sneak up on his mom, and his mom sneaks up on him, is great.
And I love that she just kind of rolls with it. It was just like, you're Thor, but a Thor from a different time. And he's like, no, I'm not. And she's like, dude, I was raised by witches. This is not weird to me. I'm okay.
Yeah.
And he's just like, this, it's so good to see you. And she just rolls with it. It's a great mother-son moment. And I really like that. I never really cared about her too much because she didn't get that much screen time, but I cared about her in this moment. I was happy for Thor that he got to spend a little bit more time with his mother. But let's be honest, the real reason they went back in time was 1, for the ether, and 2, so they could figure out a way to bring Mjolnir in for later in the movie.
Exactly. That was the only reason. However, before we move on, the big little detail that I got that I really did appreciate, and it's something that they don't mention in the other movies, and they don't necessarily mention it in the scene, but if you know Nordic lore, it's obvious, and that's that Thor's mom always knows the future. So she already knows that she's about to die. She already knows, everything that's happening. So the fact that Thor shows up isn't surprising because she's already knows it's about to happen. And you can tell that by her reaction. Like, no, like, yeah, you're here. Like, you're just like you're supposed to be.
Yeah. 2 more things. I love when Thor gets Mjolnir that he doesn't automatically become the Thor he was before. Like, I thought as soon as he gets the hammer, he'd lose the weight, he gets the hair back, he becomes the classic Thor, the good-looking Thor that we all know. No, he's still fat drunk dude.
Yeah, but he's still a Big Lebowski.
Yeah, they even call him Big Lebowski.
Yes, they do. And because he looks exactly like him.
Or I love when they're going to mission briefing. Is he asleep? Is he dead? But the other great thing that I like about the Thor: The Dark World flashback is Rocket's pep talk. He's like, I've lost literally everyone. I don't have any family left. I don't care about you or the rest of the Avengers, but can you please help me get my family back? And I was like, yeah, Rocket, let's do this one for you, man.
Absolutely. Like, he just felt... Man, Rocket was a surprising emotional center for this movie.
Yeah, he's come a long way. Him and Thor work together really, really well, and I'm sure we'll talk about it later when we talk about like the ending of the movie. I want more of these characters. I want more of Thor interacting with the Guardians as a whole.
Well, it's a good thing we're going to get that.
As Guardians of the Galaxy. What else was going on? Oh, we have different teams. So that's what Thor and Rocket were doing. You have some of the main Avengers with Hulk, Iron Man, and Cap going back to the Battle of New York, which would explain those set photos that came out a while back. I really enjoyed revisiting the Battle of New York, and all the references that came with it. We got obviously references to the first Avengers with the Battle of New York, but we also got a surprising amount of Winter Soldier references, which I didn't think we would get, primarily because Winter Soldier is, if ever there was a self-contained MCU movie of like, this is very much just itself and doesn't really tie into anything else, it's Winter Soldier. However, there's several really awesome callbacks that I, as a huge Winter Soldier fan, it was my favorite up until now. Given that was my favorite, there's several great callbacks of the elevator scene. As soon as it happened, I was like, oh, Winter Soldier again? And Cap gets in the elevator, and I half expected him to be like, all right, before we do this, does anybody want to get out? But then they switched it up, and they did the Hail Hydra.
Which is a great callback to the comic book storyline they just did.
Yep, which everyone hated.
I mean,
so it's like
yes.
Marvel poking fun at themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, as soon as Cap has it, another Winter Soldier reference with the shot composition when he runs into himself, his past self, and Captain America fights Captain America. The way that shot is very much like Cap and Winter Soldier fighting at the end of Winter Soldier, and it was great.
Yeah.
Bucky's alive. Sucker punch in the face.
Exactly.
It's like I missed it the first time, but when 2012 Captain America's like, I could do this all day, and 2019 Cap's like, I know.
I get it. I know. Shut up.
Even though Captain America should have used that line later in the movie.
Yeah, but I do like how they used it, and I love, and I don't know if you have to bleep this out or whatnot, but I love the America's ass line.
That was great.
That is so funny. Oh man,
they really lingered on that one too. Like really a couple extra seconds, I was like, alrighty.
Yep, like this is about as long as we need to do this.
Yeah, and then something happens, and Tony and Cap need to go even further back. So they go to 1970, which we didn't really get a whole lot of backstory of why they need to go to 1970. That was the only part that was kind of odd. They need more Pym particles to do more time traveling. Which, why didn't Cap just steal all the Pym particles?
Because then there would be none left for the creation. No, I don't know.
That's a good solution to that. But then we have what I'm sure was supposed to be an emotional moment with Iron Man meeting his dad, and it's something that gets paid off from Civil War when Tony says at the beginning of Civil War, I never got to say goodbye to my dad. Now he does. But still, again, I don't care about Tony, so I don't care about this scene.
Yeah, I do like some of that interaction. I like the fact that, and really, if I was to go back and watch it, they already put the thought into Steve's head right then of if he can go back and spend the rest of his life with is it Maggie?
Peggy.
Is it Maggie?
Yes.
Maggie.
When he's hiding in the office. How does she not notice him?
Because apparently she's an idiot.
Yeah. But that's actually peppered pretty subtly throughout, and I'm really glad how that ultimately paid off in the movie. If there's one part that I would cut from the movie, it would be Cap and Iron Man going back to 1970. It's kind of just there. It felt like to kill time and get the Tesseract because they messed it up.
Yeah, I feel like it was just there to. It was just there to like try to give Tony some emotional center too.
Yeah, just kind of somewhat get you back on his side. But I'm still just like, eh.
I mean, and it was a decent way, but it wasn't the best.
However, when we talk about emotional stakes, we got to get to the Soul Stone with Black Widow and Hawkeye.
So as soon as they land on that planet, for some reason, and this, to the movie's credit, I was so engrossed in what else was happening that I completely forgot
Oh
what
no, I didn't. It's worse
was
when
gonna
you
about
know
to
it's
happen in the snow.
coming. Like it's like knowing it's like Halloween, seeing Michael Myers slowly behind somebody that they don't know he's there. It's that anticipation of just knowing the end is coming. I remember from Infinity War, something's got to give, and I'm just wondering the whole time. All right, who's it gonna be? Is it Hawkeye? Because that was who my candidate was. Because sacrificing himself to bring his family back. So this whole time you're just like, is it gonna be Hawkeye? Is it gonna be Black Widow? One of them is not coming back. To be
Yeah,
honest, though, when they get there, I thought it was gonna be played for comedy because of how serious that scene was in Infinity War. I'd have Red Skull be like, "You must sacrifice something you love," and then Hawkeye like takes off his bow and throws it into the pit. Be like, "Well, I love that,"
yeah. It
but
was,
no, they
which
played it
technically,
serious, like
yeah, they
real
did.
serious.
Well, and even then, like the fact that they both wanted to be the one, really, like, oh,
Like they were almost
that
beating each
played
other
me.
up to make sure that they didn't jump, which made it that much harder, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
And just Black Widow being completely okay with it, of like, hey, I've done my mission. You have a family to go report back to.
It's an incredible moment, and then was having that I think it felt like 10, 20 seconds of Jeremy Renner just reacting to the actual vividly bloody corpse of Scarlet was
Black Widow, you
incredible.
mean?
Yeah, I said Scarlet.
Not the same person.
I mean Scarlett Johansson
Oh,
is
okay, okay. I was thinking,
I know, okay, I know what you mean, but still. But first of all, I guess I wasn't aware how well Jeremy Renner acts.
this dude
Um,
carried the emotional weight of this movie on his back. He's got a couple
dude,
heavy scenes.
he really does. It's incredible, dude.
Oh, flashing back, we completely skipped over it. That scene when he's Ronin. Holy crap, dude! I
Oh
want a Ronin
man,
movie.
oh dude, it's why I
Ronin
think.
versus John Wick, please.
Oh dude, but like
But
even like his reasoning is so Hawkeye. It's so Clint. Like that's such a military mindset.
but then we go back to the emotional core. When he takes that mask off, he's just a mess, and you immediately feel for him. You're just like, oh man, you've been through the ringer.
Absolutely, which I guess in some ways makes me feel even worse that um that he can't deal with the fact that people are gone.
Oh, he's also got that other emotional moment of when they're doing the test run for the time travel, and they send him back as the test dummy, and he goes back home, and he's trying to see his daughter one more time, just in case it doesn't work.
Yeah,
And he
yeah,
comes back with the baseball
absolutely.
glove, and you're just like, oh man, it is better work.
Yeah, it's rough.
So all the Avengers minus Black Widow come back, and all of them are celebrating, and then the realization hits that she's not there. I wish we dwelt on that more.
Oh yes, but the amount of time that we do dwell on it is rough enough.
Yeah, it's we don't get a I feel like the Russos never really the Russos were like the fans. They never really bought into Mark Ruffalo and Scarlett Johansson with the whole Hulk and Black Widow thing. So any movie past Age of Ultron, whenever the Russos took over, they dropped that subplot entirely almost. Like it's Hulk kind of mentions Black Widow here, but not extensively.
But he definitely like it definitely comes across more as, oh man, my friend's dead, rather
Yeah,
than,
not my ex or whatever.
yeah, absolutely.
Um, but yeah, everyone's back. Tony, I didn't mind this nearly as much as I thought I would, but Tony makes an infinity gauntlet of his own that can hold all the stones, and they decide that it needs to be Hulk because Hulk's the only one powerful enough. Although I love that Thor is like desperate to be the one to do it. He's like, please, please let me redeem myself, and I love that. I was just like, please, let me do something right. Let me do something.
Yeah,
Which at first he's
Absolutely.
playing it for comedic relief, but then the more he begs, it's just like, no, he just wants to do something right.
Yeah,
So
it's all part of his art.
yes. So Hulk snaps his fingers, and the day seems to be restored back to normal. We don't see anything. Ant-Man goes outside, the sun's shining, and then Ant-Man gets blasted in the face by Thanos' cannons, because Thanos this whole time has discovered that he was successful in the snap in the year 2014. So in the future, he learns that he'll snap and the Avengers will kill him. So 2014, Thanos comes through the time machine that was opened by him by Nebula. I'm losing my words here. And here's where we get our big finale. Thanos, 2014 Thanos, the one that's still alive, comes and just decimates the Avengers base. And good grief, the audience reaction when Hulk opens his eyes after he does the snap, because everyone thinks he's almost dead. When he looks up and he sees the shots coming down from the ship, everyone's reaction of, oh, I live for those type of reactions of like, all right, we have a victory, and as soon as they get a victory, they get their leg cut out from underneath them. It's just great storytelling.
So it really is.
And then sets up this finale, which honestly, I've not seen a finale this good since Return of the King.
Well, and it's really funny because, and maybe it's the wrestling fan in me, but I could feel when the turns were about to happen, when it was like, oh yeah, oh, cut off, oh, build, cut off, build, cut off, and then all of a sudden, oh, here we go, our heroes.
Here's the big comeback, literally.
They're about to have their comeback.
I love the moment where Thanos is just sitting on his chair, and Thor is just staring at him from the top of the hill, and they're just staring at each other, and Cap and Iron Man come to him, and he's like, what's he been doing? He's just sitting. Hadn't done anything. He's just waiting. You know it's a trap, right? Yep. We're still going to go down there? Of course. All right, just wanted to make sure. And then Thor wields not only Mjolnir, but Stormbreaker too, and then somehow, when he gets them both, his beard becomes braided and he becomes the ultimate Norse god.
So here's the thing, man. That's the look. Like, if we can get the muscle back too, oh man, that is the Thor look I have been begging for.
Yeah, I didn't mind that Thor. But yeah, it's the three of them versus Thanos in the ultimate fight.
It really, and then we have that moment where Cap wields.
Wait, we got to build up to that.
And I think my favorite part of that is not necessarily Cap getting the hammer. It was Thor going, I knew it.
Yeah, I missed that the first time because my theater was cheering so loud, myself included. So that scene was a nice callback to Infinity War of Thanos has Stormbreaker pressed up against Thor. He's not actually wielding Stormbreaker, but he's like pressing Stormbreaker into Thor's chest. And you're like, oh gosh, he's about to stab him in the chest. Then Mjolnir, and literally a scene echoing The Force Awakens with the snow. Mjolnir starts to lift up and starts flying to Thor, but it flies past Thor to Captain America. And at that point, I genuinely don't think, well, I was about to say, I don't think I've ever heard a louder crowd cheer in a movie theater, but that would be beaten 5 minutes later. My theater, holy crap, it erupted. And I almost stood up and screamed, I knew it. That was the one scene more than any other that we'll talk about here in a second that I've wanted for years. But this is one moment that has been built up to the point of when it finally happened. It felt genuinely earned. It wasn't there of just like hey, this is a cool moment. No, it just felt like this was the right time, the right place. This is what it's all been leading to. Of course, now Cap is worthy. And Cap starts putting a whooping on Thanos. And it's great. It's finally that hope spot of the movie, if this was a wrestling match. It
is a wrestling match, and we both know it.
Huh?
I said it is a wrestling match, and we both know it.
It's the hope spot of
he
finally gets some hope, And he just starts beating Thanos, not just with the hammer, but with the powers of the hammer, with lightning and everything else. And of course, Thanos cuts him off. I'm actually getting worried about Cap at this point because not only is he getting beat, Thanos is like breaking the shield, which is a nice um, fulfillment from that dream sequence that Iron Man had in Age of Ultron. They really brought back a lot from Age of Ultron, considering it could have been easily forgotten about, but they really did nice callbacks a lot of times from a ton of previous Marvel movies. But Cap shield is getting just demolished to the point it's almost like half shield at this point, and Thanos just beating the devil out of Captain America. Um, Cap gets up heroically one last time, and this is when Thanos brings in his reinforcements, whole army, and my favorite shot, more so even than the shot that we'll talk about in just a second here. My favorite shot in the whole movie is seeing Cap on a hill all by himself, staring at the army of Chitauri, of Thanos, and everyone else, just like, I'm going down, but I'm going down with a fight still in me. And I was like, that is why you have Mjolnir. And I didn't hear this the first time because the crowd was cheering so loud. When Falcon's like, "Hey, Cap, can you hear me?" And I was like, wait, was that Falcon? Because you forget Hulk had snapped everybody back. So at this point, Doctor Strange starts assembling everybody. And this is when the movie goes from great to one of the most iconic films of all time. And I'm not ashamed to say that now because of this will go down as one of the biggest moments in movie history. Mark my words. So we get a portal. And I like the decision to bring back Black Panther first. You got Black Panther, Okoye, who wasn't snapped, and Shuri come out. And out flies Falcon on your left, which was another great callback to Winter Soldier. I lost it there. But then
dude, there's so many great scenes in this small section of the movie.
And then Black Panther comes out, but not just him. All of Wakanda comes out. He Bombay. My theater just screams back, Bombay. And it was, it was great. And then out comes Doctor Strange with the Guardians of the Galaxy. And another huge crowd reaction as out comes my boy, Spider-Man. Welcome back, Spider-Man. In terms of individual returns, Spider-Man obviously got the biggest reaction. Always will.
Yeah, obviously.
I think he could have gotten an entrance all to himself because he kind of came in like the tail end of the Guardians, but whatever. He's got a great, funny moment later. Out comes literally everyone you've ever seen, except for Hulk, which is, it's weird that Hulk wasn't in the final fight, but I guess he was still kind of injured from snapping his fingers.
Yeah, no, he is visibly.
So out comes Valkyrie, giant Ant-Man. You get the one of the greatest shots of the whole movie, besides Cap standing on the hill, seeing the whole army. The Avengers theme picks up, and the
Avengers?
shot. Ooh. Cap uses the Force essentially to bring Mjolnir to him. Avengers, assemble. And my theater was cheering too loud that I actually misassembled the first time. But
dude, everything stops too. Like the music, all noise, everything stops, and it goes in on Cap, and he hits everybody with the assemble.
Yeah, and just I want an endless looped GIF of the hammer coming to him. Avengers assemble. Avengers assemble. Which, quick side note about the music for that scene. It's something that I haven't seen a lot of people talk about yet, primarily because I've listened to this particular song on repeat because I love that scene so much and I just want to relive it. The song is called Portals off the official Endgame soundtrack. At the beginning of it, it's this like slow wartime trumpet music. If you listen carefully, it actually sounds like a slowed down version of Captain America's theme from the first Avenger. Which is nice storytelling of Cap's all by himself, but he's the one that leads the charge. He's the one that starts it. So before we have the Avengers theme, we have Cap's theme to start it because he was the first Avenger. He was the one to start it all. So Avengers, assemble. One of the greatest moments I've ever seen in the theater. One of the greatest reactions I've ever seen in the theater. My theater was raucous, myself included. I may or may not have blown out my vocals for Friday at work the next day.
I mean, same, but
Oh, I cheered so loud. But then you got this great battle scene of everybody doing their part. Everyone has a great moment to shine. It was literally a game of football, of everyone just tossing stuff here and there. Captain Marvel coming in late in the game to make the save. That's one of the few changes I've heard somebody make, that that whole great girl power moment of all the female superheroes. It shouldn't have been Captain Marvel with the gauntlet running the field. It should have been Nebula.
oh, absolutely. She's been carrying that section of the movie.
Not just that, we just saw Captain Marvel super powerful. She doesn't need backup. Nebula does. Because you could have just Nebula and Gamora, and then as they're running along, all the other women come alongside to help them get to that final goal. Then Captain Marvel can fight Thanos and buy them some more time.
I agree. I think the big thing too for me was like they kept adding more and more girls. So for me personally, I was like, oh man, this is a great shot. Oh man, this is a great shot. Oh man, this is a great shot.
Yeah, I was just like, who else are we missing? Oh yeah, we got that one. We got Mantis. We got Gamora. We've got Wasp. We got Rescue now. Like, just kept seeing more and more. Okoye, Shuri. This is great.
Mm-hmm.
I love seeing them all together. And then, who was it? Was it Cap that's got it? Got the gauntlet for a little bit there, and Black Panther's like, "Give me the gauntlet," and then Black Panther just hauls and takes it away. You're like, "Yep, go Black Panther, go."
It's I mean, he's just all the little explosions too that he causes is great.
Yeah, I very much enjoy Black Panther. So that leads to Thanos and Iron Man having one more face-to-face confrontation. Thanos just about snaps his fingers again. Captain Marvel makes a very close 2-count save here. Like, even upon a rewatch, I was like, oh gosh, because I forgot she made the save for a second there. And we had that great headbutt spot where Thanos goes to headbutt Captain Marvel, and she completely no-sells it. I was like, oh, why didn't she open with that?
Yeah, So, real quick, I think my favorite part of this movie is Captain Marvel.
I get why they limited her role though, because she is a little too overpowered for this.
I agree, but like her attitude to me is the worst. I legitimately like just the way that she talked down to the Avengers, like, you know, other planets that need help, blah blah blah. Like, you know, I'm gonna go take care of that. You guys,
call the Green Lanterns.
Yeah, wrong franchise. But it gave me this, like, I guess, bad taste in my mouth for her.
Well, we get back to Thanos and Iron Man. Thanos goes to snap his fingers one more time, and it does nothing. And it's great, because Iron Man has stolen all the stones and put them in his own gauntlet, which, first of all, that should have fried him as soon as he put those stones in.
It should have.
But no. Thanos is like, I am inevitable, which is the line he's been saying throughout. But then Iron Man's final words, which the more I think about it, it's just nuts that these are the last words Robert Downey Jr. ever said as Iron Man. I am Iron Man. Snaps his fingers. I was like, dude, I haven't liked you in a while, but that is how Iron Man needs to go out. Like a boss. Just snaps. Yeah. Also, the rules are never defined very well for the Infinity Gauntlet, so do you snap half the people, or does it get you what you want? Because it snaps all of Thanos' army away, but it only wiped out half the Earth. The rules are very complicated.
I think in some ways it's more like you can do whatever you want. Which, if that's the case, like,
bring Black Widow back?
Yeah, like, I don't know.
But yeah, this essentially just electrocutes the crap out of Iron Man. So he's dead, basically. I kept like expecting him to say something, but he doesn't. He's just fried.
Well, and then we have this great moment between him and Spidey, which I almost cried, but I didn't. Was proud of myself. But what really got me was the moment between him and Potts. I never thought that something like that would get me.
It didn't get me the first time.
dude.
It got me the second time, and here's why. Um, I was like, the first time I watched it, she tells him, "We're okay now. You can rest." I was just like, okay, she thinks he's just gonna nap and he'll be fine. Watching it the second time, she knows he's gonna die and he's not gonna make it out. She's telling him, "You did your job. The world is safe now. We're fine. You wanted to put a shield around the world. You've always wanted to protect us, no matter what. You've always been over the top in your protection. We're safe now. Now we're fine. You can rest. You've done more than enough, Tony." I'm just like, oh man, that's rough to
Yeah.
watch. And then,
It was rough. And then you get the funeral scene.
which I love the funeral scene. I did lose it in the funeral scene, not because I was sad for Iron Man, but I was overcome with emotion of realizing because of Iron Man, we have all of this. So I love that shot of just seeing, thanks to that first Iron Man movie, what all we have because of it. We have Captain America, we have Thor, we have the Guardians, we have Winter Soldier, Falcons, Scarlet Witch, all these characters. It's just like the more we go along, the more I was just got emotional of just like all of this because of Iron Man, that one movie. So as much as I disagree with Iron Man a lot in recent movies, I was like, no matter how much I hate the character, I can't fully hate him because without him, none of this would be a thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the best detail for me of that scene is the random teenager by himself.
You know who that is, right?
Yeah, that's the kid from Iron Man 3.
Yeah, a lot of people were confused. And I was like, as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, you're the kid from Iron Man 3. Way to pull it together.
Like, that was a fantastic little detail that.
Yeah, they could have left that out real
almost
easily,
wasn't
considering
caught.
Iron Man 3 doesn't factor in a whole lot into the greater MCU. But yeah, it was nice to have that come back. To me, I'm more lost when Nick Fury shows up at the end, just like how at the end of the first Iron Man, there's the end credits of, we're putting together a team, the Avengers Initiative. That's more or less what started everything. And so it's only fitting that it's Iron Man and Nick Fury ending it too.
Yeah. It's great. And then you have the fantastic scene with Cap.
Oh man, no shame, I definitely cried during that scene. So I firmly believe all the characters in this movie get their right ending. Tony has deserved death for a long time. Like, he's cheated it. He's needed to take responsibility for his actions for a while, and he finally did. Whereas Cap has deserved a normal life. He's been robbed of a family for a long time. And so when he finally goes, Hulk's like, come back, because you got to return the stones. He'll be back in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. As soon as we get the countdown, I'm like, he's not coming back. Where's he going to go? Peggy. And then Bucky is like, look over there. There's an old man on the bench. I'm like, oh no. No, 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 no. Which, quick side note, before Cap goes in the time machine, fantastic callback of he hugs Bucky goodbye using the same lines that they said in the very first Captain America when Bucky went off to war, of the whole, don't do anything stupid until I get back. How can I? You're taking all the stupid with you.
Yeah.
I was like, oh man. Even as someone that's just kind of okay with the first Captain America, I'm warming up to it. That hit me. I was like, oh man, way to bring it full circle, guys. But Falcon goes over to old Captain America now. And he's like, I see you've lived a life. He's
I
like,
was nervous,
yeah.
honestly.
He's like, yeah, I guess I have lived quite a life. Oh, I have something for you. He gives him the shield. He's like, go on, try it on. He's like, doesn't feel like it fits me. He's like, well, it should. It's yours. He's like, oh man. And then he's like, how does it feel? Like it belongs to somebody else. Well, it doesn't. And in that moment, I caught it the very first time I watched it. In that moment when Falcon has the shield, the music from the first Captain America movie, that theme plays. He's now Captain America. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh man. But also, I've noticed on my second watch, as soon as Cap gives Falcon the shield, Falcon looks over to Bucky to be like, is that okay? And
Yeah.
Bucky kind of gives him the nod. That hit me too. I was like, oh man.
And I think that was there for all of us fans who thought that they would go to Bucky first. But I mean, honestly, the more that I think about it, it makes sense
Because it
for
was
them
set
to
up in
go to
Civil
Falcon.
War. It was set up during the funeral too of
Mhm.
Bucky being sad, and Falcon puts his hand on Bucky's shoulder. The first time they more or less have any form of like actual camaraderie.
Yeah, and I liked the moment. I mean, to me, it tells me that they're eventually going to go with Bucky. But
I've said it for a
right
while now.
now,
That Winter Soldier and Falcon TV show is not going to end up being called that. I think it's going to be
Yeah.
Captain America Winter Soldier show with
absolutely.
Falcon as Captain America. And then the film ends in the most perfect way it could have, with Captain America finally getting that dance with Peggy. And I bawled my eyes out. I was like, oh man, this is how you wrap up a decade-long story in the best possible way.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then we didn't get an end credits, but we did the next best thing. We get all the supporting characters, like it's an Academy Award nomination or something. Get all the supporting characters like ever in the MCU, which I thought was great. But then all the main 6 get their own little highlight reel. And I'll tell you what, I saw it with the crowd. Everyone just cheered and respected the crap out of all those main performers. But then when you get to Cap and Iron Man, deafening ovation, especially for Iron Man.
yeah.
Just without you, we don't have this. So thank you.
It's pretty great.
To me, I don't know where the MCU goes after this. If we don't, after Spider-Man, we could never get another MCU movie ever again. And I'd be okay with that because of how perfectly this wrapped everything up.
I just, yeah, man, I'm kind of it, like I said to start this, it wraps everything with such a nice little bow that we don't need anything else now. Like, okay, that's why I think so. While Spider-Man is, because the question is obviously now that where do we go from here?
So yeah, how do they address the 5-year time gap in Spider-Man? Also, exactly. Before we get sidetracked with Spider-Man, what happened to Vision?
No, he's dead, like Loki.
Yes, but he's a robot. They can't rebuild him at all?
Well, technically speaking, no, because the Infinity Stone is what gave him his life. But I mean, I don't really care because I never cared for Vision. Anyway,
true. But he would have been a helpful asset in the finale,
I guess.
As a whole, this is definitely my favorite MCU movie by far. Great character work in the first half, great character work in the second half, interwoven with fantastic scenes. This was very much a love letter and a thank you to all the fans that have been with this franchise for 10, 11 years now.
Absolutely. And it's the perfect way to end this saga. And it definitely, if in fact Far From Home is the quote unquote end of phase 3, it is more of a transitional end than it is like a period.
It's an epilogue, essentially.
Yeah.
Which I'm fine with. Any last minute thoughts on Endgame before we take it home?
No, man. I think, for the most part, it's exactly what it needed to be. Yeah. And I for one am pleasantly surprised because I think we both know, and I was kind of vocal about how I didn't think that they were going to be able to pull it off.
Yeah, both of our expectations were exceedingly high, but the film still somehow surpassed them. We absolutely loved Endgame. Can't wait to see it again and again. Well, what did you guys think about Avengers Endgame? Let us know in the comments below. We always like hearing back from you guys. And as always, if you like what you hear and you want to hear more, subscribe to us on whatever audio platform you're hearing us on, whether that be iTunes, Google Podcasts, or YouTube. And as always, subscribe to us on the YouTube channel at Uncharted Media. And as always, stay sharp, movie guys and gals.